This video is about cutting an aluminum plate. So first thing to note here is that we need to remember that the plates are grease sensitive. So you see here there's a cover over these when you first get them to protect the plate from any grease or any material getting on there. So we want to make sure that the plate is protected when we're working with it. So I keep that cover on there. I'm flipping it over here now to make the marks for the areas that I need to cut. So the plate is 25 by 18. This is a half plate from what the normal large plate size is. So I'm going to start by marking these at the center marks on the plate so that I know where I'm going to be cutting it because I'm going to be working with half a plate. So I'm marking it at 12.75 on both ends here, as you will see with the ruler. And then I'm going to be connecting those two marks to give me my cut line. It's going to be really important that I see those marks all the way across the plate, because when I'm using the plate shear here very soon, you will see that that's what I'm going to be using to line up the edge of the bed with those marks, so I know where I'm slicing the plate at. Trying to make sure that the plate is protected still at the same time. So I'm going to take this out to the plate cutter, which you see here, which is a stomp plate cutter. What I'm looking at here is I want to line up those two marks, that mark on that end and the mark on the other end, with the edge of the bed here. So when you look through this gap, you will see that the bed, that's that rusted bit, where it ends is where I'm lining up my marks on both sides. So I still want to make sure that that's protected. I don't want to scratch the plate as I slide it through. I'm cutting it with the grain side down. So I want to gently pull this through the press. You see now I'm looking to line those marks up with the edge of the bed. You're not really going to be able to see it in this video, but when you look through that gap as I'm doing, I'm making sure that the left and the right are lined up with where that bed stops. Once that's done, I want to brace that in place so it doesn't move, and then it's a stomp cutter, so the pressure of stomping down on this is what will slice through the plate. You could see I was holding it in the back to make sure that the plate just didn't fall and crash and get all bent when it slipped through. So now that that is done, I have two half plates from the plate that I had before. So I'm going to uncover it. And one of the issues is that the corners are really, really sharp from the way that these are cut. So the very first thing that I need to do is round off the corners, and I can do this. The aluminum is really thin, so I can just do this with a decent pair of scissors. And I'm just rounding off that edge. You want to make sure that you take those little tiny bits, because they are extremely sharp. You don't want them falling on the ground, and that those are going to get put into the recycle bin or thrown away immediately, so that those don't end up in somebody's foot. So I'm going to round off all of those edges with the scissors to get rid of those points, and I'm going to make sure that that's not stabbing me when I grab the plate at any other point in time. And then after this, because of the way the plates are sheared, the edges can be sharp, or the areas that I cut things off might be a little bit sharp. So I'm going to use a file now to just kind of get rid of any of those little burrs of the metal that might be a little bit crisp, that would catch a sponge when I'm sponging in the future when I'm printing, or might just kind of get stuck in my fingers or my hands. So I'm just kind of gently filing off all those little burrs on the plate as I move through here, and making sure that they're all gone by the time I start cleaning and drawing on this plate. So you just want to go around all four edges and make sure that there's nothing kind of hanging around that potentially might cut or damage the sponge when we get to printing. You also notice that I'm being careful not to put my fingers on the plate because the plate is still sensitive. The next step is that we're going to be cleaning this with citric acid and some water, but I still don't want to get grease on top of it. So next video is cleaning a litho plate.